Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's explainer. We are going to unpack, analyze, and totally deconstruct a truly magnificent piece of surreal digital art, affectionately known as the heavyweight cotton classic. We're looking closely at how internet culture takes the absolute most mundane stuff imaginable and elevates it to legendary status. So prep yourselves because we are stripping down the anatomy of a modern, viral masterpiece to figure out exactly why it works so incredibly well. To really appreciate this subject, we first have to look at its origins and the extreme contrasts at play here. On one hand, you've got your standard everyday household item, a single white sock. You know, the kind of laundry destined to get lost behind the dryer forever, right? But then you contrast that with the archetype of a professional bodybuilder, the literal pinnacle of extreme athletic physique, requiring years of relentless grinding dedication. The core comedic contrast of our source material relies entirely on smashing these two wildly different realities together and doing it with absolute deadpan seriousness. It takes something we wash and step on and inexplicably injects it with pure, unadulterated muscle. Section 1. A sock's unlikely transformation. The birth of a cotton champion. So how exactly does a piece of laundry step onto the gym floor? Well, let's examine the impossible anatomy of our subject. The artist behind this didn't just slap a cartoon face on a tube of fabric. Instead, they meticulously sculpted realistic muscular arms, a highly developed realistic muscular chest, and incredibly powerful legs right onto this garment. And this brilliantly illustrates how this granular, super specific level of physical detail serves to completely suspend your disbelief. When you can literally see the striations of a bicep that is simultaneously made of ribbed white cotton, your brain somehow accepts this impossible creature as a physical reality. It commands this odd kind of respect. The source material we're analyzing specifically describes this phenomenon as a hilarious, ultra-realistic 4K video. And notice that the humor here isn't coming from goofy sound effects or some wacky narrative. The humor stems entirely from the hyper-realism applied to a wildly unlikely protagonist. By rendering a simple gym sock in breathtaking 4K clarity, but giving it the proportions of a Mr. Olympia competitor, the joke just tells itself. The medium itself, the sheer ultra-realism, is the punchline. Section 2. The heavyweight workout routine. Action in a modern gym environment. Let's move to and see how this builds, because look at the rigorous progression of this routine. In step 1, our cotton champion steps up and confidently lifts massive dumbbells. There's no hesitation, just pure fibrous power driving through the movement. Moving right into step 2, the subject hits the rack, performing deep, heavy squats. If you think about the biomechanics required for a sock to achieve proper depth on a heavy squat, it's completely astounding, yet it executes the movement flawlessly. And finally, step 3, the vital cool down and display. It strides over to the glass and flexes its muscles right in front of a mirror. We are genuinely evaluating the actions of a legendary real-life athlete at the peak of their training cycle, completely dominating this modern gym space. This incredible display of athletic dominance leads directly to the narrative climax of the piece. The source notes that the sock receives applause from shocked gym members. This is such a vital detail for the world-building guys. The human beings occupying this natural gym environment are literally stunned into clapping for a piece of hosiery. This in-universe audience reaction is essentially a mirror reflecting the intended reaction of the real-world viewers on social media. We, the viewers at home, are the shocked gym members, applauding the sheer audacity and technical skill of what we're witnessing. Section 3. Ultra-realistic technical details, grounding the absurdity in reality. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer technical proficiency required to pull this digital illusion off. The technical specs outlined in the source are uncompromising. First, we're looking at 4K resolution and Ultra HD formatting. Nothing is hidden. Every detail is on display. This is paired with cinematic lighting that casts incredibly dramatic, realistic shadows over every contour of its fuzzy, muscular physique. We've got highly detailed fabric texture. You can practically count the woven threads, all presented alongside smooth camera tracking that mimics a high-budget sports documentary. And finally, the inclusion of realistic muscle movement. It is exactly this high-level execution and precision that takes an inherently funny, frankly ridiculous concept and makes it feel undeniably believable. Let's look even closer at this incredible visual synthesis. On the left, we have detailed fabric texture. On the right, realistic muscle movement. The artist is explicitly blending two entirely disparate physical properties into one being. Imagine the woven, inelastic nature of a cotton sock perfectly marrying with the expanding, contracting, organic biomechanics of living muscle tissue.
When the calf flexes, the cotton weave stretches, warps, and bulges exactly as human skin would. It's a surreal, absolutely seamless fusion of the textile and the biological, rendered without a single flaw.
Section 4. Anatomy of Viral Success. Decoding the Digital Phenomenon. How do all these visual and narrative elements combine to completely conquer the modern social media landscape? Well, we can define this specific aesthetic as the viral social media style. It's a photorealistic format designed to instantly stop you from scrolling and shock you purely through immersive visual storytelling. And notice what is fundamentally missing from the source material. It is deliberately lacking text or watermarks. This intentional absence is a brilliant strategic choice. By removing captions, floating words, or distracting creator stamps, the pure visual shock value of a muscular piece of laundry doing heavy squats is allowed to speak entirely for itself. It commands your full, undivided attention without asking you to read a single word. So, the crucial point is right here. It thrives because it is a funny but believable concept. The true viral power of the heavyweight cotton classic doesn't just lie in the fact that it's a visual joke. It lies in making the absolute most ridiculous thing you can imagine seem physically, undeniably real. When you combine top-tier digital rendering with a completely absurd premise, you create an artifact that people simply have to share with their friends just to prove that they actually saw it. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought to consider. Why does a photorealistic, muscular sock captivate us so completely? Perhaps it's because in an era where digital art can conjure up literally anything in the universe, we are most delighted when it chooses to elevate the most mundane, forgotten objects in our lives to godlike status. Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Keep wondering, keep analyzing the media you consume, and honestly, never, ever underestimate the power of everyday cotton.